what if I don't like any of these? What if I hate it? If I can't predict what I'm gonna like, how am I supposed to predict what you're gonna like? Hi, I'm Caitlin E, and welcome to the Lit Review. Today we are focusing in on 5-star predictions. So I have 5 books that I'm hoping are going to be big hits for me, and I'll talk you through why I think they might be 5 stars. 5-star reads are not super rare, but they're a little on the special side for me. I'm a little fussy when it comes to giving a 5-star read. I want to make sure that it has emotional resonance in the moment for me as a reader. I want it to have like long-term impact. I want to be walking away thinking about that book. I want to be able to feel that inner urge to just keep talking about that book. So I'm much quicker to give like a 4.5-star read than I am a 5. I have given a couple since we've been on this reading journey together, but I am a little on the stingy side with the 5 stars, so we'll see if any of these make the cut. But for now, let's just get into it. Okay, so the first book I have to talk to you about today is Everything I Never Told You by Celeste Ng. And the reason why I think this is going to be a 5-star for me is that I read Little Fires Everywhere by Celeste Ng last year, and I think of that book as one of my top 5 books of 2019. So it made me really want to grab all of her books that I could get a hold of. And so I found this one at a local used bookstore. The back cover says, "Lydia is dead, but they don't know this yet. So begins this exquisite novel about a Chinese-American family living in 1970s small-town Ohio." So then the rest of the book is kind of getting us to that point of like, how did Lydia die? Why did Lydia die? So it has kind of like some slight mystery aspects to it that could be really interesting and compelling. Little Fires Everywhere had a similar conceit where you begin with the house burning and catching on fire and just lighting ablaze, and you spend the rest of the novel figuring out like, how did we get to this point? So if this is a structure that Celeste Ng really loves, it's one that really worked for me as a reader. This is going to be a 5-star for me, just based on the caliber of one of her other books, which is sometimes the only predictor you really have when you're trying to figure out 5 stars. So Everything I Never Told You is a big one for me. I think if I feel the most pressure of any of these books, it is for this next one that I'm going to talk to you about, and that is Missborne by Brandon Sanderson. And the pressure's coming from a lot of places. You know, the pressure's coming from BookTube because most people love Brandon Sanderson. You hardly hear anybody say a poor word about the man. He's very prolific, which is inspirational but also intimidating. And then the big push for me, the reason I think I've been low-key avoiding this, is Brandon Sanderson is my partner's favorite author. Like, Jeremy loves Brandon Sanderson with a fiery passion, and he has said that Missborne in particular is the book that he thinks I will like the most, or that fits with like my reading tropes and things of that like that. So I am both pleased to hear that, but also it ramps up the intimidation factor for me because like, oh god, what if I don't love it? You know, like I just don't want to disappoint people. I am terrified of this, but I am putting it on my 5-star predictions because I trust him and I trust the whole of BookTube too. Like, he's a very beloved author. But we shall see. We shall see. The next book that I'm hoping to give some 5-star love to is Master of Crows by Grace Draven. So part of why I'm hoping this will be a 5-star read for me is I really loved her novel Phoenix Unbound. And this is an author I don't see a ton of people talk about on BookTube. Like, some people do, but it's just not, she's not super popular. Phoenix Unbound was so good. I think I gave it like 4.5 stars, but in retrospect it's probably a 5-star if I'm still thinking about it, still talking about it. I'm hoping that I can get that same kind of character-driven magic in Master of Crows. This has been on my Goodreads TBR for a really long time, and this is really, she's kind of a romance writer. I guess I would say like romance is very heavy in these stories, but I don't necessarily think of her in like the traditional romance genre. There's usually elements of like fantasy or magic in here as well. Morticia Fasher is a bondswoman, and the people who own her bond basically send her to spy on this sorcerer that they're really intimidated by. And the sorcerer is kind of aware that she's sent as a spy, but he still needs her help with some things. I don't want to say too much because I don't want to spoil anything. I mean, I don't really know because obviously I haven't read it. But the sorcerer feels like he is having some kind of antagonistic relationship with a god internally. Like he feels like he can hear this god that wants to be set free, and he's desperately trying to stop that from happening. But then, of course, because there is always a romance to Grace Draven's novels, they fall for each other. So it has the potential to have some of that enemies to lovers stuff. What I loved about Phoenix Unbound, and what makes me think I might love Master of Crows, is that the individuals were very complex. Like, they had a really good conversation around trauma in Phoenix Unbound, and it was just like this gradual build of a relationship. And I'm hoping to see something along the same lines here, because I just thought the way it was written was so good in the last book. So much like Everything I Never Told You with Celeste Ng, I'm hoping to love Master of Crows by Grace Draven, because I really loved another one of her books. The next one that I have that is a 5-star prediction is, again, part of that like booktube hype, people just loving it, and me hoping that I'm gonna love it too. So that is Nevernight by J. Kristoff. I have heard just mind-blowingly good things about J. Kristoff's writing. Some of my favorite channels, whether they're fantasy channels purely or like other channels in general, like J. Kristoff is beloved by the people whose opinions on books I really value. So it has made me really want to read this book. I have Nevernight, and I also have God's Grave in paperback, so if I like Nevernight, I'm just gonna keep on rolling into the series in general. But again, talking about tropes that I love, we're talking about like revenge, lady assassins. Like, I've heard that this is very gory, dark, with, you know, sexual tension, that he writes really good, like sex scenes or sexually tense scenes. So that's going to hit a lot of stuff that I like to see as a reader. Mia Corvair is the heroine of this novel, and her father was executed as a traitor, and she, as kind of like a quest for revenge and to like protect herself, she enters into the school of assassins. I think I am grossly condensing that novel summary, but again, this is me not knowing much. This is me just kind of like hearing hype from other people and then wanting to kind of spread that hype. But yeah, BookTube made me do it, you know? What are you gonna do? And then last, but hopefully not least on this video is Obsidian by J. Kristoff and Amy Kaufman. So again, like a lot of what I just said about J. Kristoff being, you know, really liking his writing style, I have loved the Illuminae files. But the Illuminae files are these mixed media stories, each one following a different couple, through this overarching journey of basically corporate espionage, which doesn't sound very exciting when I say corporate espionage, but it is literally they're set in space. It is literally a basically like big tier conglomerate going after the holdings of a different conglomerate, and all of these individuals who you're following get caught in the fray, and there's, you know, there's deadly chases through space, there are mercenary teams, there is like, I don't want to say it, but there, you know, there's like crazy AI, you know, it's like so much more than just corporate espionage. First, like the first book in the series, Illuminae, blew me away. That was like a 5-star read for me for sure. I really liked Gemina, which was the second book in the series, and that I think was like a 4 or 4.5 star for me. And so this Obsidian is going to be the conclusion to the trilogy. It's another like mixed media, so you can see like there will be things with like ship plans, and I love books that have kind of like this epistolary novel kind of thing, where it's like, I love books about letters or emails or text chains. And so like this being like a case file, a mixed media case file, hits that same tone, that same note for me. And it's so expertly done. This is such a gripping read, even though it looks kind of like thick and intimidating for a YA fantasy. Like, it just goes by so quickly, and it is one of the coolest book series I've ever read. So like, I really hope that the conclusion of this trilogy sets me off in a good space. Like, I want it to be a 5-star read. I want to love it as much as I loved the other two. So we'll see if any of these books turn out to be 5-star reads for me. I will, of course, do a check-in video with you after I have read them all to report back as to whether or not they were actually 5-star reads or not. But all of these books are going to live back here on my priority shelf so that I can pull from them frequently. Hopefully in my next Lit Land, you'll see at least one of these make an appearance so that I can start chipping away at those. That is one of my bookish projects that I'm working towards slowly. You know, I'm not trying to rush through anything. I want to enjoy every reading experience that I have here. But that's it for me. Thank you so much for spending time with me. I hope you have a fantastic reading day. Like and subscribe if you want to see more from me or this channel, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!